What's good? What's good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Urban Platform Speaks. Make sure to like and subscribe as you tune into the channel. Check out the content. And with that being said, man, I want to speak on. I was listening to the Coach JB show, and Coach JB had the former NBA ref, the guy Tim Donaghey. He got caught up in a gambling scandal with the NBA and the FBI. Brought him down. I'm not sure if this was in the. I don't think it was in the 90s. I think this was like in the 2000s, right, where he got caught for a scandal. And so this guy Tim Donaghey was fixing games. Was helping to fix games, and the FBI caught him, and he was involved with the mafia also. So Tim Donaghey has a lot of insight when it comes to how these players are getting caught up with the mafia, because that was one of the questions that was asked on this show. Like, how do somebody like Chauncey Billups even get caught up with like somebody from the mafia? And so those are the kind of questions and some of the insight that Tim Donaghey answered when he was on the Coach JB show. And I thought it was a really, informative interview. And so I'm going to play some of that. I'm not going to be able to play the whole interview. You can go to, like I said, Coach JB show. But I just want to give my react to some of what was said during this podcast. And then I'm going to play that right now. Then I'm going to come back.
It's always one step ahead of everybody else. They always are, calculating every move. And even in my case back then, they weren't supposed to.
Wait a minute, hold on. I'm gonna start it at the beginning. All right, here we go.
Yep. And our main man, Tim Donaghey, joins the show. Yeah. Without further ado, Tim, how you doing, brother?
How you doing? I'm doing terrific. Good morning, guys.
Man, thanks for joining us, brother. Thanks for joining us. It's great to have you 24 hours or less after all this shit's gone on, huh?
Crazy. Absolutely craziness.
Hey, I got a couple questions that I want to know. I got a broad one for you right out the gate. How is Adam Silver still employed as the NBA commissioner today?
That's funny you said that, because when the scandal went down with me, my attorney said there's no way David Stern maintains his job as the commissioner. But, deep down, he ran that whole investigation. People don't realize that he really was pulling the strings with the whole thing. And the guy that was the head prosecutor for the Eastern District of New York, Greg Andres, actually left and took a job as at a law firm and took on all the outside legal counsel work for the NBA. So that they're very powerful in the position that they have. And Mark Cuban told me that they would never lose their jobs.
That's right there. Now that statement right there about the NBA commissioner, right? You gotta realize that the NBA is like worth billions and billions of dollars. So they are not, the FBI and the FBI are not going to really do anything to really go against the commissioner or the NBA or the owners, because like I said, they just worth so much money. And when Donaghey just said that the guy left after the investigation and everything was over with, he left and he started to work with the NBA. The NBA gave him a job. So there's going to be some deals and stuff, and there are relationships already. Anytime a player is in the draft, and I remember Carmelo Anthony said this: if you get drafted by the NBA or the NFL or Major League Baseball, they have FBI agents on staff that investigate every player. And they know everything about these NBA basketball players. They know what your habits are. They know who your friends are. They know what your friends are into. So there are already relationships there with the, with these law enforcement agencies. Like this, so that is right there. Like, you would think that Adam Silver's job would be in danger, but not when, they just already have relationships and they have connections to these people in law enforcement. So that's why that's not going to happen.
As commissioner.
Wow. And then it's funny that Mark Cuban teams up with Trump yesterday and they're going to do some things in the pharmaceutical space. My brother's in the Air Force. He's in the pharmaceutical space. He was a pilot for 25 years. It's all coming together. It's kind of weird. Here's why I want to break this down in chronological order. Sham Smitty goes on yesterday on ESPN and says he heard about this the night before.
Right.
Okay, now just hear me out. The night before that, Adam Silver was on Pat McAfee's show and brought up gambling and how we got to get it under control, Tim, and all this shit. And I'm sitting there, and then yesterday this breaks. So obviously all of them knew it was coming down the pike here. 100%. And then boom, this happens, and 31 other people get arrested, and apparently another 35 are supposed to turn themselves in today. That's what I'm reading. I'm trying to figure out, is this how it goes? Like everyone found out about it, and Shams got it and didn't want to break it until today because they told him shut the hell up. And then why did Adam Silver go on McAfee, a show that?
See and that's what I think the whole situation is with this gambling scandal. And Coach JB just said it. Like, this is more so about sending a message to professional athletes that if you get out of line as far as, you know, getting caught doing the wrong things, or you break any of the rules with gambling, like, you are going to pay the penalty and pay the price. Gambling is not going anywhere. Basketball is not going anywhere. So, but as a player, you got to know that you are expendable. You can lose your livelihood. You can lose your freedom, and you could be publicly embarrassed, right? So this right here, I think, is to send a message to all athletes across all sports that this is, you know, what could happen. That's why I know, I believe, and I'm pretty sure that Adam Silver was in on the, you know, he was made aware of this early on, because not only was he made aware of it, but they knew that once they got into bed with gambling, right, that this was like, it was going to be, history shows that this was going to become a problem. Like, players were going to fall, you know, victim to that temptation. They was going to fall into that pitfall. So anytime, like, the agreement was to, like, if the NBA want to do business with, what is it called, Underdog, or any of those gambling houses. I don't gamble, so I don't know the name of these gambling houses, but any of those gambling organizations, they got to know that players are going to be tempted to give inside information, throw games, bet on games and stuff like that. So they know that before they even set this whole thing up with gambling. They already aware of that. So this has been coming and coming, because, you know, I said it on my podcast like a year ago that, you know, that FanDuel and Underdog and all those, I was like, yeah, this is going to be an issue. It was an issue during the World Series. What was that, in the early 1900s? This World Series where the Chicago White Sox rigged you know, they rigged the World Series, right? And so they knew this. Adam Silver, you know, they got relationships. They say, well, you know, are you going to do business with FanDuel? You're going to do business with Underdog. So you know that this is, you know, like, players are going to be tempted. They're going to sell inside information. So how are we going to handle this situation? And you know, this is it. This is it. They already knew. Only people that didn't know are the players. You know, they didn't think that, you know, they thought, some of these players thought that they would be able to get away with this, you know, but they knew. It's just like, say, for instance, if you have you holding a baby and you want to put the baby on the floor so the baby can crawl, right? You know what that baby is going to get into even before the baby gets on the floor. So what you would move certain things out of the way, because, oh no, I don't want him messing with that, so I'm gonna move this. Or I don't want him to get in there, so I'm gonna make sure he can't get in there. You know, so they, and the NBA players, they don't have that type of foresight. All they know is they can make some quick money, you know, tell somebody this, some type of inside information. They don't have that foresight. But Adam Silver knew, you know, what was the guy named Stern? You know, the guy Stern knew this, you know, this has been played out for years and years in advance, you know, and so this is not new to them. It's new to the players, and it's new to the public. But they knew before they even got into bed with these, that what was going to come down because they seen it before.
50,000 people live watching it. I'm confused.
I'm confused too, but the NBA is always one step ahead of everybody else. They always are, calculating every move. And even in my case back then, they weren't supposed to release anything to anybody. And I was going to, do different things with cooperation. And they leaked the story to the New York Post, and everybody knew not to talk to me. I think this is a situation where.
So the important part, the thing right here, though, is like the guy said, like Donaghey said that they knew, they know that there's going to be gambling scandals before they even happen. They don't always know who's going to be involved, but they know, they have a protocol, for how to handle these situations before it even arises. Just imagine, like, if somebody, like when Michael Jordan, like people say that Michael Jordan was caught in a gambling scandal, right? They handle his situation different because of who he was. And if LeBron James is in this, I will imagine that they will handle LeBron James differently because of how important LeBron James is to the league, how important LeBron James is to the game of basketball, right? And just in general. So his situation will be different. But if you get somebody that's like in the middle, somebody like Chauncey Billups, then, he could probably be in a situation like what Pete Rose is in. Pete Rose was a big name in baseball. And look what they did to Pete Rose. But Pete Rose wasn't the biggest. He was big enough where as though they could make him as an example. And that's what Chauncey is. Chauncey is big enough where as though they can make Chauncey as an example and not really hurt the game. So this is a dangerous situation for somebody like Chauncey Billups. He's not LeBron, he's not Jordan, but he's almost to this. He's about where Pete Rose was. Pete Rose was a Hall of Fame baseball player, very popular baseball player. Chauncey Billups, Hall of Fame basketball player, very popular, well-liked basketball player. And so this situation for him could be this could be not so pleasant. It might not have a good ending for Chauncey. But that's, basically what I wanted to point out, in the scandal, that the NBA is always, Major League Baseball, football, like they one step ahead. They're not going to be caught off guard with these type of scandals and stuff like this. They got protocols, whereas those players don't have a protocol. They just see that fast money or easy money. So that's my take on it, man. Y'all make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to leave a comment, and I'll check you all out in the next video. Peace.